CBS 46 News at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Fisher.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins.
Thanks for being with us at 4 as we go on the air. CBS 46 is in storm mode, and so is our state. Within the last 15 minutes, Governor Deal made a special announcement. He's talking about preparations for winter weather tonight and the possibility of black ice in the morning.
That is the most significant threat that we see into the early morning hours and into the early part of tomorrow. In light of that, we are going to, for our state agencies, we're going to delay an opening until 10 o'clock for the Atlanta area.
And we have a team of reporters fanned out across the metro Atlanta area and beyond. Our crews are checking with state agencies to find out more about their emergency plans, what your commute could be like tomorrow morning, and what the weather is like just north of us in Ellijay. Let's start our team weather coverage with meteorologists Jim Kosick and Paul Osman to find out what's coming and when. We begin with Chief Meteorologist Jim Kosick.
Well, those that have the rain will continue with the rain throughout the course of this evening, and dare I say even heavier pockets of rain. But the ice situation, or at least the mixed precipitation, is basically running from Toccoa to northeastern Gwinnett County and points west and northward. Dalton, just rain right now, but in around East Ellijay, we still have some icing that's going on. And this is really only about half the storm that's come across the area. The heavy dose of rain, as we've been touting, Paul and myself, over the last couple of days, still yet to come this evening. And temperatures will actually be slowly rising throughout the course of the evening hours, given the storm track. We'll see a shift in the wind from south-southeast to northwest as we head into the wee hours of the morning. Probably at some point after about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, we shut the wet weather machine down, but notice temperatures south of the freezing mark. That's not good. Despite the gusty wind, we'll catch a little bit of sunshine headed out and about tomorrow. A couple of things to keep in mind with black ice headed our way. No sudden braking. You want to turn into your spin and slowly accelerate. You don't want to, no lead feet out there, okay? Winter weather advisory still in play until 7 o'clock in the morning for the purple shaded area. We do have a winter storm warning for the same time up until 7 o'clock in the morning for points farther to the north and east. And with more on that icing setup that I just mentioned, I want to toss it over to my colleague Paul Osman. Paul?
Yeah, Jim, we're getting some new information now from the National Weather Service about some of the icing conditions going on right now. In Fannin County, there's some ice being reported on some of the power lines, but no power outages just yet. In Decula in Gwinnett County, some icing on elevated surfaces, but not on the roads. And in Dalton, some icing on trees, but not yet on the road. So we're seeing that begin to shift over like we were talking about last night and all through the weekend. Let's show you what's happening as far as graphically about what we can expect with this ice and what could be happening over the course of the next several hours, even into tomorrow. This is the ice forecast. The best area, the areas shaded in dark pink, areas that we believe will be the areas that'll be under the gun with the icing that has already occurred, but also that will occur for the next several hours before. And even as far south as near the Gainesville area, maybe as far south as near North Forsyth, certainly in Dawson County, you're going to be experiencing that as well. Let's talk about some damage levels. In the extreme northeast, there's certain levels according to how much ice you get. Scattered power outages are possible in the next 20, and they could be interrupted between 24 and 12 hours. And also in that area that you see from Ellijay all the way up to northeast, that's the most prone. There is a damaging level that we're seeing right now just a little bit south of that where we could see just minor interruptions, but still a little bit of ice in that. Keep in mind these are forecast models, and these are what we think is going to happen over the course of the next several hours or so, but that's rapidly changing as the system that 2 days ago was supposed to produce snow is now seeming like it's producing more ice. We'll talk more about that. Of course, Jim will be back with a full forecast in just a few minutes. Stephanie.
Our storm mode team coverage moves to North Georgia now at 4, where a winter weather warning is in effect for 15 counties there. They could see the worst of it: snow, sleet, and ice. CBS 46's Dante Carter joins us live in Ellijay in Gilmer County, where they are already seeing some winter weather.
Yeah, and here in Ellijay, it's been raining all day, and many of the people say they're expecting the snow. In fact, they are very much prepared for it, but they fear the ice, and many of these businesses downtown close early so that those employees could get home before many of these roads begin to freeze over.
She has already left for the day.
Shifts ended early today.
Getting ready to leave pretty soon.
Sherry Bunch, a co-owner of the Times Courier, sent many of her employees home early, like most businesses in Ellijay today.
But the ice, that's the problem, because if you get a 1/4 inch to a half, you were pretty much stranded.
With all the rain throughout the day, they want to get uphill similar to this to get home before the roads freeze over. But people in Gilmer County are seeing the effects of the weather before the big storm.
We were just sitting here watching TV, and then next thing I know, the power was flashing, and it just went out.
He was one of 1,400 customers to lose power.
If you don't have any backup heat, it's pretty frustrating. But
he didn't have any heat running in his home for nearly an hour, and his main concern was keeping his 2-year-old daughter, Haley, warm.
My parents have a house just up the road, and they have wood heat, so I can go up there if I have to.
Yeah. Now, just about 15 minutes ago, we heard about more people being without power, about 160 other people that are now without power. The Gilmer County has opened up the Civic Center to use as a shelter, and we're going to continue to follow this story, let you guys know where the power is going out and where you all can go for help. For now, live in Gilmer County, Dante Carter, CBS 46 News.
To Metro Atlanta now, it is not the snow or the wintry mix that we're dealing with. It is mostly rain. Doesn't mean we're out of the clear just yet, though. CBS 46's Adam Hardy is live in Atlanta he's at one of the many locations where crews are focusing on the real possibility of black ice for tomorrow's commute. Adam?
Oh, absolutely, Tracy. Atlanta, just one of so many cities in the metro working to get ahead of this storm. For the last 24 hours, we've been talking a lot about this brine. Well, now they're going to go to some gravel and some sand, get those on the roadways overnight. Their fear is there will very likely be black ice come your morning commute tomorrow.
Ice can definitely be a problem.
Bobby Candler says forget about it. He'll be staying off the roads Tuesday ahead of black ice concerns.
We have more trouble with ice in Atlanta than we do snow.
At Atlanta's DPW, the trucks are loading up and heading out.
You know, you never know about these storms.
Richard Mendoza is in charge of getting local roadways treated. So far, it's been all rain here in Metro Atlanta. But there are real concerns for Tuesday's commute.
Given the current conditions, first, most vulnerable areas are going to be your overpasses and bridges because they don't have the benefit of the warm ground temperatures underneath.
We sort of wait for moments like this.
State Department of Transportation officials say they're focused on the freezing temps overnight. And you should too.
There's going to be a heightened concern for black ice, and so we'll have crews running the interstates throughout the night and into the morning rush hour to look and treat that black ice.
So pack your patience and give yourself a little extra time. The storm may be over Monday, but don't overlook Tuesday.
We expect to see black ice tomorrow. Just be cautious. It's not going to be your typical commute.
And so here at the local DPW in Atlanta, that is the sand, and these are the trucks that are getting a little reprieve right now, but they'll be going back out on the roadways at around midnight. Everyone in the metro area working to get ahead of this storm. They have a long night ahead of them, but they do urge everyone to be careful. And if you spot black ice tomorrow as you hit the roadways, they want to hear from you. For now, we're live in Atlanta. Adam Harding, CBS 46 News.
Well, this weather is the topic of conversation in Atlanta today.
I'll stay home. There's no way I'll go out. I don't want to go through what we did last year. There's no way.
A lot of other people feel the same way.
And the new man in charge of GEMA says put what happened last year out of your mind because our state is ready. And this reminder for you, Cobb County Schools, they have canceled classes for tomorrow. We're scrolling that information at the bottom of your screen. We'll let you know about other Metro School District closings as they come in.
Our storm mode coverage continues here at 4 with CBS 46's Christopher King. He's live at the Georgia Emergency Management Command Center. That's in southeast Atlanta, where they're, as always, keeping a close eye on the weather and what it'll mean for our roads.
That's right. This is the nerve center for the state's emergency response. Take a look over here. There are GEMA teams watching conditions all around Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. Now, emergency management took a lot of heat last year for a slow response to the first storm, but new GEMA chief Jim Butterworth says that won't happen again this year.
Who can forget last year's winter disaster? Traffic snarled the highways as far as the eye can see. Tens of thousands of drivers stuck on the roads for more than a day, and school buses filled with students stranded.
I got this one wrong. I got it wrong by at least 6 hours.
Many people blame Charlie English, then the chief of the Georgia Emergency Management Agency, for doing too little too late.
We regret that happened before, but I'm not going to let it happen again.
Jim Butterworth is the new GEMA chief.
Is Georgia prepared this time around?
Absolutely.
With more winter weather rolling through, we asked Butterworth, what is the state doing this time around to get ready? just in case the roads get icy and conditions take a turn for the worse.
We're being proactive and we're communicating.
Butterworth says GEMA is closely watching conditions around Metro Atlanta and North Georgia here at its command center, staying in close contact with local officials. And he tells us GEMA has created strike teams that include State Patrol, GDOT, and the National Guard ready to respond.
And these strike teams would have the resource to respond immediately. They have the authority to clear that path and then make sure that it doesn't become a cascading event for the rest of the metro area.
Here's another live look at GEMA teams closely watching what's happening around the state. Now, we also asked Butterworth, what is GEMA doing to make sure that school children don't get stranded on buses again? We'll tell you more about that coming up at 5. For now, we are live at GEMA headquarters. Christopher King, CBS 46 News.
Thank you, Christopher. Right now, the rain is here. Our Frank Wiley is in the CBS 46 Weather Lab checking on the driving conditions for us. With a big smile on his face, that's always a good sign.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Frank Wiley, as you guys just mentioned, live in our weather lab, and this is our vantage point. Look at our front window. That's it right there, wipers in full effect. We're going to have a live report from the weather lab on the other end of the break. We'll be right back.
CBS 46 is in storm mode. If someone you know is coming home or heading out for the evening, CBS 46's Frank Wiley is live with your look from the CBS 46 Weather Lab. Frank, where are you and how does it look on the roads right now?
You know, the rain is definitely coming down right now. Right now, I'm on 75 South. We're approaching 285. We'll give you a look out my front window so you can see what we're talking about right here. Those windshield wipers in full effect, but not a lot of people on the road right now, at least not heading south, that is. As far as the folks heading north, I guess everyone had the same idea around this time, trying to get out of the storm and get home to a safe place. That's the right way to do it. And here's another vantage point for you right there. That's from the side. And look out the back window. As I told you, a lot of people heading north on 75. We were just up there moments ago. Saw a lot of traffic up there. We turned around, headed back south. The rain, again, that is coming down right now. Not too hard, but again, you want to get out of the way of this. As we know, temperatures are dropping, and all that rain, that could mean one thing: black ice in some areas. And we're approaching an overpass right now. Of course, our weather team always tells you to avoid those areas because that's where it sticks most. But again, right now, not much of a problem out here on the road other than a little bit of rain. And I got to tell you, it has started to come down a little harder in the last 15 minutes or so as it approaches the metro area. But for now, we are live along 75 South in the CBS 46 Weather Lab. Frank Wiley, back to you.
Well, definitely some bigger problems if you're headed 85 northbound because, well, yeah, so some big issues the farther north you go into the state, and Georgia 400 northbound as well, eventually picking up a little bit of mixed precipitation. Live look over Atlanta right now. Boy, I tell you what, you get that high vantage point, and, well, it's definitely not crystal clear, that's for sure. Here's how we're going to break it down for you this evening. 7 o'clock, 70 degrees would be wishful thinking, by the way, but we are going to see temperatures slowly rising throughout the evening hours, throughout the 40s, and you could see a little shimmer there with the raindrops hitting the lens and a little bit of a gusty breeze picking up. But this is the kind of sort of the good news. As the center of the storm system tracks closer to Metro Atlanta, temperatures will be swinging upward. The bad news, farther to the north and northeast, we're still going to have that icing concern from Toccoa to Gainesville. Temperatures are sub-freezing, and even in around Canton area, 32 degrees, but it's east LJ, not LJ proper, to Canton points eastbound. That's where we're seeing the core of icing right now, with temperatures struggling a bit. Take a look at our CBS 46 satellite and radar combination, and you can see how the intensity of the rain actually picks up once you get past 59 in around the Birmingham area, and that trend will continue farther off to the east because the core of wet weather extends all the way down past the Baton Rouge area. The dry air that's over the northwestern flank of Mississippi eventually will return, but that's not going to return until the overnight hours. And to track more of the storm system where the ice is located, I want to toss it over to my colleague Paul Osman. Paul.
You know, Jim, some of the latest information I'm getting into the Weather Center right now. In Fannin County, you folks in McKaysville really under the gun right now. There's some freezing rain and sleet accumulating on some power lines and trees. Also on Highway 60, some very heavy sleet falling. Also bringing a little bit closer to the metro. Jim had just mentioned that it's 32 degrees in Canton. There is some concern now for some freezing rain accumulating on trees and power lines in North Cherokee County, just a little bit north of Highway 20. So I want to make you aware of that. There is the potential for that to happen as we continue to move in that direction. So in the meantime, we want to show you what's happening, give you hour by hour what's happening across the area, and we'll show you the showers and the rain that's still out there. And you can see on the radar anything in pink, and that extends all the way into North Fulton County now. So you folks in Milton area, also in Johns Creek, also in Cumming area, there is the potential that there's some mixing going on. Look at the heavier purple. That is where we're seeing some of the ice accumulation in extreme northeast Georgia, and briefly in Rabun County, beginning to switch over now in Sky Valley to maybe some snow in that direction. Let's take you hour by hour and just take you through the next several hours or so. You can see by tonight, you can see the heavier rain beginning to move in from the west. Carroll County, that heavy line moves through the metro, but look at the shades of green and yellow. That indicates just rain, but even as the temperatures begin to warm a little bit, we're not seeing much mixing as far as the ice is concerned. So we're really hoping that this pocket of warmer air moves in and keeps us from experiencing any of the icing that could happen in the next several hours. But in the meantime, as we look at least for the next few hours in some of the higher elevations of North Georgia, especially in Fannin County, some concern now for some icing on power lines and trees that's occurring right now. Jim.
Yeah, a lot of rain to go along with that, as you mentioned, Paul. Some areas will be able to a lot of ponding of water on area roads. That's why we believe black ice is a huge concern, because even the wind develops overnight tonight. It's not going to be able to dry the road surface off everywhere, but you can see south of the metro, temperatures will actually hold above the freezing mark. It's going to be a brisk, cold day tomorrow. Clouds will win out over the amount of sunshine. So as we check out our CBS 46 7-day forecast, do keep in mind that it's not going to warm up anytime soon, but at least we're getting away from the icing setup with temperatures rising back above the freezing mark anytime after about 8:30, 8:45 in the morning. Could see some flurries north of the metro during the course of Wednesday afternoon. No accumulation, but with a big dose of Arctic air, we're actually challenging record low temperatures Thursday and Friday mornings. Now, this is a major dose of cold, dry Arctic air. So when moisture tries to return late Friday night, could have a lot of trouble reaching the ground, but there's at least a 1 in 5 chance to pick up a mixed bag of frozen precipitation. We'll keep you posted there before the warmth comes back in from the Gulf. So we'll see occasional doses of rain and thunderstorms this weekend as we warm it to almost 60 degrees and then turn it chilly again early next week. More on this with my colleague Paul Osman coming up in just a little bit from now. Tracy.
All right, Jim, thank you. And remember, you can get weather updates instantly just by using our mobile app. Go to CBS46.com. Click on the cell phone icon that's under Connect with CBS 46.
We're still waiting to see whether our streets will ice over.
In some other cities across the South, they didn't have to wait. Memphis is singing the blues over all that snow that's fallen. We'll take you on a tour across some of the areas that are hardest hit coming up. You're watching CBS 46 Storm Mode coverage.
Here's a look at other cities in storm mode today. Even though roads in Memphis were pre-treated, a lot of them were in bad shape. Several overpasses were closed. Just like here, there was less traffic than usual because of the President's Day holiday. A number of flights, though, in and out of Memphis were canceled.
Well, it's also risky to drive in Louisville, Kentucky today. Snow started falling overnight. Wasn't expected to stop until sometime tonight. There were predictions that snow could fall at about 1 inch an hour. The National Weather Service says some sections of central Kentucky could see as much as 15 inches of snow. Temperatures may plunge to 5 degrees by morning.
And there were several accidents on the John F. Kennedy Expressway in Chicago. 39 cars were involved. 12 people had to go to the hospital. One of them was a firefighter. Nothing that serious here in town, but please be careful tonight and in the morning, just in case there are some patches of ice out there. Road crews are getting ready for whatever our night brings. A live report from Cobb County when we come back.
And do you know what to do if you drive over black ice tomorrow? We'll tell you what you need to know. And remember, you'll find a number of winter weather stories in the red box on our website at CBS46.com.
Welcome back. In case you're just walking in the door and joining us, we are in storm mode this afternoon. Our beautiful city obscured by lots of low-level clouds out there. We're keeping an eye on the roads because the concern is some black ice developing overnight and for your morning commute. Our chief meteorologist Jim Kosick and the CBS 46 weather team are tracking the conditions. And Jim, what's the latest there on the radar?
Well, you know, it's a mixed bag of everything, to be honest with you. Anywhere where we see the purple shade area, that is all freezing rain. The white is snow. The pink shade area is a mixed combination of sleet and freezing rain. And then when you get into the green, obviously that's going to be the rain. The yellow is the moderate rain. The reds are the heavy pockets of rain. And we will see even those before the evening is done with this. So basically from East Ellijay off to the east of Dalton area, northern portions of Fulton County, northern Gwinnett on northeastbound past Gainesville, Dahlonega, which has had an unfavorable situation. Reports up over 0.15 of an inch of ice already. Cleveland points northeastbound. It has been an absolute mess so far this evening. Now, that being said, even though it is below freezing in some of those areas that I just mentioned, temperatures will be rising this evening and it should change over to rain. Even Metro Atlanta will be rising throughout the evening hours with the intensity of the rain picking up, the worst of which actually between 9 and midnight tonight before it begins to taper off during the wee hours of the morning. But up in the mountains, that snow-ice combination will go to all ice. As we dry things out during the wee hours of the morning, the focus shifts to black ice, but still, you combat it the same way, even though it's not actual falling precipitation. Metro Atlanta has the rain picking up in intensity up through midnight, as I just mentioned, anywhere between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning, the rain shuts down. So we start the drying process. But again, with temperatures down below freezing between 6 and 8 o'clock in the morning. Remember, as I mentioned before, anytime after about 8:30, 8:45 in the morning, we're back above freezing. But that narrow window of opportunity for black ice does exist. And the rainfall amounts are massive, over an inch for many of us. And that's going to lend toward ponding of water on area roadways. So even though we may not have some problems in the rain areas right now, that's not the way it's going to stay. More on that with my colleague Paul Osman coming up in a little bit from now, Tracy.
All right, Jim, thank you. Of course, our big concern is the roads during storm mode right now. We want to check back in with CBS 46's Frank Wiley. He's out in the CBS 46 weather lab with the very latest on where he's at. Frank?
Yeah, Tracy, you guys mentioned a mixed bag, and that is the case indeed. I want to show you again a look out of the front windshield there. That's what we're dealing with. I showed you the wipers earlier, not going as hard as they were, but we are headed north. Last time we chatted, I was on 75 South. Now I'm back on 75 North and dealing with a lot more traffic this time around. So it's a little bit of a stop and go. But as the temperatures drop, that's going to be more of a concern, I should say, simply because of the black ice that you guys are mentioning. Now, right now, we are in the area near Marietta right now. We just passed the perimeter about 5 minutes ago, 285. So near Marietta right now, not dealing with any black ice, but as you guys mentioned, temperatures are dropping, freezing temperatures in store. And that is the issue we're having right now. But again, this early in the afternoon, not typically seeing the traffic like this northbound. Southbound, not so much a problem, but northbound, everyone seemingly having the same idea. Here's a look out the back window right there. Raindrops on that back window there. But again, out the front window, wipers in full effect. But for now, we are live along 75 North. Frank Wiley, CBS 46 News.
Frank, thank you. And more details for you now. We checked and AAA cautions you not to brake too fast or tailgate when you're driving during what could be an icy commute on Tuesday. So if you're driving faster than 25 miles an hour, AAA recommends steering as opposed to braking to avoid a collision. On black ice, conditions can sudden braking and they can cause you to lose control. But sometimes steering, well, that's just not an option. On a 4-lane highway, stay in the clearest lane and give yourself extra braking distance. Now, if you start to skid on black ice, continue to look and steer in the direction that your car needs to go. Avoid slamming on your brakes. And here's where you need to watch out for black ice tomorrow morning. Shaded areas, bridges, overpasses, and intersections.
We continue our storm mode coverage now as Cobb County prepares for the first real test of its revamped storm fleet. The county upgraded its equipment and plan of action after the ice jam last year. CBS 46's Will Frampton joins us from Cobb County DOT headquarters in Marietta. Will, I see the rain is coming down pretty hard there. Are they ready for situations if it gets worse?
Stephanie, they say they've certainly learned a lot after last year. They have all their salt and gravel trucks lined up here, ready to go. They're mobilizing them right now for an all-night-long shift to get ready for any possible black ice situations on the roads around here tomorrow. And for the millions of people who were stuck in that snow jam last year, they are counting on things to be different this time around.
Sarah Austin may never look at Lower Roswell Road the same way again. Not after her experience here 1 year ago.
Left the office at about 1 p.m. and didn't get home until 2 days later.
And for 9 of those hours, she sat in traffic here, during which time she moved a block, maybe 2. Finally, she parked, got out and walked, and eventually caught a ride to a friend's house thanks to a Cobb police officer.
There were other people out on the street walking too. I think it's going to become one of those generational stories that people swap their stories about 30 years from now.
The lesson learned from that experience is one that she plans to employ tonight and tomorrow. When in doubt over the weather, just stay home.
As we ramp up on that,
Cobb County spokesman Robert Quigley hopes others will do just that.
The public shares some responsibility there. We encourage the public to make sure, do they need to get on the road?
He says that's a huge part of the equation. Another part, their salt and gravel trucks and their plan to keep the roads safe.
What happened last year was a significant learning opportunity for us, so we'll be set up to run 24 hours a day until this issue is resolved.
And he says there are some specific changes they made following last year's snow jam, some upgrades to their equipment, and we're going to show you what those upgrades are. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll take you inside to the heart and soul, the very center of this DOT command center, where you'll see how they plan to stay ahead of any weather that might come in tonight. Again, that's coming up tonight at 6 o'clock here on CBS 46 News. For now, we are live in Cobb County. I'm Will Frampton, CBS 46 News.
And there is still some time to get ready for the freeze. Home improvement stores across Metro Atlanta say they have plenty of supplies for customers to winterize their homes. We made a stop at this Lowe's in Edgewood today. The manager says it doesn't take a lot of money to get ready for winter weather.
In the ballpark of $20, you can probably make anything happen. Sand's just a couple dollars a bag. Pipe wrap is very inexpensive, so you don't need to spend a ton of money to be safe in your house.
And the big sellers so far, those have been sand, gravel, and firewood. And that store manager expects sales of pipe insulation to pick up too. An area music teacher makes sure that if anyone gets stranded at his place because of weather, they will be taken care of. A live report is just ahead.
And another report from the Northeast, where Boston continues to dig out from 7 feet of snow. Stay with CBS 46 and CBS46.com for our storm mode coverage. We'll keep you up to date as conditions change. I know things could get bad overnight, but we've had a mild winter weather compared to the Northeast as they continue to weather storm after storm, constantly in a state of digging out from under a lot of snow. Marley Hall joins us live here at 4 o'clock from New York. Marley.
Stacey, it got so cold here in New York City that, well, we almost broke a 127-year-old record low, and this Arctic chill is expected to last through the week.
Frigid temperatures turned a 3-story building into an ice castle in Philadelphia after firefighters turned their hoses on a blaze. In Boston, transit workers from all departments are pitching in to clear snow from the tracks.
Normal job, I work marketing.
The rails are buried in snow, along with just about everything else. Boston got another 16 inches over the weekend. That makes about 7 feet in 3 weeks.
This is the snowiest February in the history of Boston.
On Plum Island, Massachusetts, snow completely covered the entrance to a home. Residents made a tunnel to get out.
Here in New York's Bryant Park, it is so cold the fountain is frozen solid. Temperatures are not expected to rise above freezing all week.
Samantha Sandberg knows how to dress for the weather.
This is a fur hat. I have a fur scarf. I have 4 layers on underneath my 2-layer coat.
The South is also getting a powerful winter blast. From Mississippi to North Carolina, people are expecting snow, sleet, or freezing rain. Kentucky could get a foot of snow, and the governor urged people to stay home if possible.
Here in New York City, people are still out and about despite the bitter cold, and they're coming here to Bryant Park to take a look at this frozen fountain behind me and take pictures in front of it. Stephanie?
It's Fashion Week in New York City, so I think they have a lot of people in town for that. Marley, thank you.
Well, hopefully drivers won't end up stranded like they did during last year's winter storms. But there is one place in DeKalb County where anyone who gets stuck, well, they will be well taken care of. CBS 46's Tyler Beckham spoke with that business owner. He joins us live from Midtown this afternoon.
Tracy, live over the connector here in Midtown, because really, of course, the roadways are the issue. Even if weather gets so bad that parents can't pick their kids up from school at Community Music Centers of Atlanta, Berkeley there says they have a plan in place.
Ready, play!
In the world of teaching, it's not just students who are always learning.
Well, last year we learned that we have to be able to be prepared to keep children all night long, and also, be prepared for faculty to have to spend the night as well.
Especially when the school you own is in Georgia, and the winter forecast calls for a 100% chance of uncertainty.
We prepare for this in the winter, even if there's a chance of snow or ice.
When temperatures drop, Community Music Centers of Atlanta director Phil Sims stocks up his 3 schools, like this one in Decatur, with salt for sidewalks, extra snacks for the kids, and some comforts of home for everyone.
We have a griddle that we bought so we can prepare pancakes in the morning, and then some extra blankets and pillows. Keep kids happy and safe.
Because Sims knows this is a test he cannot fail.
I know parents expect us to keep their kids safe, and we're ready to do it.
And it doesn't look like faculty will have to truck out that contingency plan tonight. A quick look at traffic here between 17th and 14th on the connector. Lots of brake lights headed southbound at the bottom of your screen. At the top of your screen there, traffic looks fairly typical for this time of the night, and it's running pretty smoothly. For an hour live in Midtown, Tyler Beckham, CBS 46 News.
Well, that commute in the morning could get a little dicey, and that's what drivers are getting ready for. Possibly extended morning commute. CBS 46's Dante Renzulli has that part of our storm mode coverage.
For salt truck teams, this was the practice, and now part 2 of the winter weather scare is scheduled for the time when most people are going to be headed to work. The timing couldn't be worse. An entire night's worth of rain is predicted to freeze at exactly the moment when the largest number of cars will be on the road. We don't even get the benefit of less traffic due to the holiday like we did today.
I'm not too excited to hear that. That's frightening, yeah. Because if this turns to ice, it's like roller skates out there. I mean, there's no way people should be traveling anywhere. I'm not going to be.
I'll say out. I don't want to go through what we did last year. There's no way.
For School, staying home means missing a flight she booked a long time ago.
And it's an early morning flight, so it's like 8 a.m. So I have to be there at 6, so let's hope I can go.
I noticed they've already sanded and salted the road, so hopefully they're ahead of the game this year.
Much of the salt that road crews spread today could be washed away in tonight's rain, forcing them to start from scratch before the overnight freeze. They may be looking at less than a 2-hour window to cover all the major roads between the end of the rainfall and the time that morning traffic really picks up.
You know, I won't be getting out on the interstates or anything like that, so I'll stay close to home.
We'll be on the air early tomorrow, starting at 4 a.m. to give you a look at what's happening on the highways so that you can base your decision on whether to leave the house on the most up-to-date information. Reporting in Atlanta, I'm Dante Renzulli, CBS 46 News.
Well, already some reports of a little bit of icing over some of our northern suburbs. So if you are traveling northbound this evening, even though temperatures will be slowly rising, a little food for thought to slow her down. Metro Atlanta, the risk of black ice is high. But again, keep in mind, this isn't until after perhaps 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. And we are going to have icing on some bridges and overpasses as well. Moderately cold temperatures, but no snow or sleet in the forecast for Metro Atlanta. It is rain that is just merely going to end. But with temperatures getting down below freezing, that's where the black ice scenario steps in. Typically, when we get gusty winds on the backside of our exiting storm system, roadways dry off like that, especially the major highways due to the heat from the cars and the friction from the tires. But there's only a narrow window, as Dante mentioned, between when the rain ends and when temperatures get down below freezing. So even though we are rising with the temperature throughout the first part of the nighttime hours, we are slightly sub-freezing for the start of the morning rush hour tomorrow before we trickle in a little bit of sunshine, get temperatures back into the 40s. That's a chilly, raw day, but at least it is above average. Here's the depth of cold air right now, as we've been talking about, from Canton and East Ellijay over the road toward Gainesville and points northeastbound. It is still sub-freezing outside, and as we go through the next couple of hours, even though the wind isn't a major player here, do keep in mind that while temperatures go up this evening, down they come anytime in the wake of the front, and the front's passing across metro Atlanta between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Here's what it looks like from our perspective on our CBS 46 Doppler radar. The pink area, that's going to be the ice, heavy pockets of rain, and dare I say even some massive thunderstorms once you get over the southern flank of Mississippi that are rolling off to the east-northeast. The drier air, which is over northwestern Mississippi, will arrive a few hours after midnight. And with more on the ice threat and what's simply going on across some of our northern suburbs, I want to toss it over to Paul Osman. Paul.
Yeah, Jim, I opened it up to my Facebook friends, and they're giving me some reports now. It seems like the greatest ice concern and what's happening right now is in Hall County. In Oakwood, in Hall County, frozen power lines. Deborah sent that in. Ice on cars in Gainesville from Skip. And also, I checked out the Gainesville Police Facebook page, and they are reporting that there is some slick bridges and overpasses. Also getting reports of some heavy sleet in Amicalola Falls area as well. So it seems that north, especially in that Hall County area, is the sweet spot for the ice that we're getting. We told you earlier also about Fannin County, a little bit north and northwest of that. Let's see what's happening with our radar, and you can see what we're dealing with right now is that area in pink, and that's where we're getting the most reports of where we're seeing some of the ice and some of the ice accumulations. We're including Fannin County, you folks in the Blue Ridge area, also McKaysville reporting some ice, once again for the Gainesville area as well. And you see the purple, that's where we're really getting the heavy doses of some ice and even some mixing in some of the Sky Valley, moving over to snow in some of the higher elevations of North Georgia. So once again, the ice is the major concern. This area right now for the ice forecast for the next several hours will be in that area, and maybe even further south than that. We're getting reports in the Hall County area, also North Forsyth getting some calls. We're getting some calls now on that. And so this ice will extend probably a little bit more to the north, but this is the sweet spot of the ice that could cause some major problems for the next several hours or so. So we're tracking it very closely, and we'll have more on that coming up in a few minutes. Jim.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Paul. As far as temperatures are concerned, as we mentioned, they will be slowly on the increase during the course of this evening. They will be coming farther to the south as we go through time. So our hour-by-hour forecast does show by 8 o'clock this evening, the core of that ice shifting off to the north and east of Gainesville. But you know, once you get closer and closer in toward Rabun County, that you know, that's just going to be the lion's share of the heavy ice accumulation. Farther to the south for metro Atlanta, we do have some heavier pockets of rain. The thunder likely staying off to our south. And as I mentioned before, that drier punch of air that's over northwestern Mississippi will be coming on in through the metro shortly after 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. By 5 a.m. we are bone dry, but again, shortly thereafter, temperatures are coming south of the freezing mark, at least for the metro and points northbound. Once you get a little bit farther off to the south of I-20, temperatures will be able to stay above freezing, but just barely. Here's a look at those 7 a.m. temperatures for you. Do keep in mind there is that risk of black ice for the morning commute. Otherwise, we'll catch a little bit of afternoon sunshine, a dry day. Can't say the same on Wednesday, although flurries should stay off to the north or insignificant. Big dose of Arctic air starting during the course of Thursday. Matter of fact, with that next punch of cold air coming in, it's very dry air, so when moisture tries to trickle in from the north and west, I'm hoping that it fizzles out before it has the opportunity to get past Nashville and Chattanooga. If it does make it, we could see some frozen precipitation late Friday night as we challenge the morning records down into the teens. Otherwise, some warmer, relatively speaking, air comes out of the Gulf, and that's going to lend toward occasional rain and thunderstorms this weekend, and maybe a little bit of leftover precipitation on the backside of that exiting storm system early next week. Plenty of time to keep tabs on that. Biggest problem that we face currently, the heavy doses of rain along with that ice that Paul mentioned. Stephanie?
And as the weather changes, snap a picture in your neighborhood and send it to YouReport at CBS46.com. We may use them on air or online. And we invite you to stay with us here at CBS 46 and CBS46.com. We will bring our coverage to you 30 minutes earlier in the morning. CBS 46 Morning News begins at 4 a.m.
We are following other stories today. The Georgia Supreme Court has overturned the child cruelty convictions of a Georgia woman in a Paulding County case. Maria Sonia Corvey's granddaughter and another child died in the family pool of this home. Both children were 5 years old. Corvey was deported after the conviction, but the High Court ruled there wasn't sufficient evidence to convict Corvey, and the judge should have granted her motion for a verdict in her favor. The state's High Court also agreed with a life sentence for a man who shot and killed a Clayton County Sheriff's deputy. A majority of justices said Jonathan Bunn's sentence was not cruel and unusual punishment. Bunn was 17 when he killed Deputy Rick Daly during a traffic stop. Daly had pulled Bunn over for an outstanding armed robbery warrant.
We're watching our weather closely, but other parts of the country are seeing the worst of winter. If you've ever wondered how firefighters fight fire in ice, we've got quite the example today.
And the state's response to last year's ice storm cost the GMA director his job. So what's changed this year that could make things smoother for area drivers? Our storm mode coverage will include constant checks of the roads today. After the double punch of last winter's twin storms, the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia vowed never to be caught off guard again. CBS 46's Mike Paluska says changes are designed with one goal in mind: to prevent the city from being paralyzed again.
Tires squealing on the connector, drivers sliding off of roads, and jam-packed streets as far as the eye can see. This was Atlanta during the January 28th winter snowstorm. Some called it snowpocalypse, snow jam, snowmageddon, whatever you named it, it wasn't fun. City officials don't want people stranded for nearly a day in their cars to happen ever again.
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
City of Atlanta Public Works Commissioner Richard Mendoza says the city is prepared for snow events this year. Currently, they have 40 plows, 30 salt trucks, and they just purchased 10 brine trucks that will help treat icy roads faster.
This is a liquid application versus a solid application that actually works for colder temperatures.
The storm caught a lot of people off guard. By the time school buses were mobilized to get children home, it was too late. Many had to sleep in schools. Some bus drivers slept for hours in the cold temperatures in their own buses. Mendoza says to avoid that, they are now changing their mobilization time.
We're going to target a 12-hour advance response in advance of a forecasted storm to ensure that we get out there before the traffic, before the crowds, and that we can have the infrastructure and roadways treated and safe for them before the storm hits.
Mike Paluska, CBS 46 News.
In news across America, the cold is causing problems for firefighters in Philadelphia. Take a look at this. It's fire meets ice. The water used to fight the fire quickly turned to ice. It coated power poles and lines and neighboring buildings. Road rage turned deadly in Vegas. A woman was driving home after teaching her daughter to drive when she almost got into an accident, and police say the other driver shot her after an argument, and the woman died this weekend.
A last-minute glitch slowed down enrollment on healthcare.gov. USA Today reports nearly 500,000 people had trouble signing up for coverage through the Affordable Care Act over the weekend. The issue prevented some people from getting their income verified. The deadline to sign up, that's now come and gone. It isn't the marathon finish that she expected, but she won't ever forget it. You see that Kenyan runner there? She crawled across the finish line at the Austin Marathon over the weekend. She led for much of the race, but her body gave out and she struggled to finish. She didn't want to use a wheelchair, but she did make it to the finish line, coming in third in the women's division. Berry College's bald eagle family, it grows by 2. Check out this video of 2 new tiny eaglets captured by the school's Eagle Cam. One hatched on Friday. The second one joined us on Saturday. I want to show you a live look at what's happening on the Eagle Cam right now. You can see Mom is keeping close by, making sure those little hatchlings stay warm and dry in our wet weather. She's keeping them covered with her body. Dad spends his day hunting to feed the new additions. We have a link to the Eagle Cam on our website at CBS46.com. if you want to try and catch a feeding. Make sure you stay with us. The news at 5 starts right now.
Now at 5, CBS 46 is in storm mode.
drivers beware. I'm pinpointing when our wet roads will change to dangerous black ice conditions and when you can expect the temperatures to help thaw us out.
Tracking conditions from North Georgia to the metro. We have the latest on road conditions right now. And preparing for tomorrow. From school cancellations to a look ahead at the morning commute, what you need to know to prepare overnight.
CBS 46 News at 4 starts now.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Fisher.
And I'm Scott Light. Right now, we are in storm mode still. 5 reporters in neighborhoods around you. We're in Hall County to the north. Of course, we're in Metro Atlanta as well. We're on the roads and with GEMA, our reporters working to bring you what you and your family need to know.
And our weather team is tracking this one as well. Our chief meteorologist, Jim Kosick, has a big picture for Atlanta and counties to the north of us. And Paul Osman is breaking down the live radar. We begin with our chief meteorologist, Jim Kosick.
Yeah, there's a combination of factors in play right now, everyone. Anywhere from the sleet and the freezing rain, which is detrimental well north and northeast of the city, to the heavy rain threat, to the black ice that we're going to have to contend with a little bit later on tonight from the metro and points northbound. So when you run into icy roads, you definitely don't want to be slamming on the brakes. Let the ABS, the automatic braking system, take control here, okay? And if you happen to spin out, you want to turn into your spin and then slowly accelerate shortly thereafter. As far as temperatures are concerned, and this is a picture of downtown Atlanta, tough to see through all the muck. Even where we are seeing temperatures below freezing in Gainesville, they'll slowly rise above as the center of our storm gets closer, and temperatures will be slowly rising through metro Atlanta through the first part of the nighttime hours. But it's the intensity of the rain that's going to pick up, so we have yet to see the worst of this storm system. Here's what it looks like right now. Athens only 32 degrees, Gainesville 29, Canton 32. But again, this is basically going to be the coldest that we're going to see as temperatures slowly inch upward during the first part of the nighttime hours. Then toward daybreak, we'll see temperatures coming back down again in the wake of our latest front, arriving between 1 and 3 o'clock in the morning. So the orange shaded counties where we're going to have the worst in terms of interruptions as far as tree limbs down, icing on power lines that could create some outages, as well as on the road surface. A little bit farther off to the south, we're also going to have some issues all the way down past Gainesville. And we've also seen some icing issues in northern portions of Fulton, as well as Gwinnett County. With more on that, I want to throw it over to Paul Osman. Paul?
Well, we are definitely looking at some ice accumulation now from the National Weather Service. We're getting a report in the Winder area now of some ice, also some ice in the western sections of Gilmer County, and some accumulating ice at the Gilmer County, Dawson County line. And also from Facebook, getting a report at McFarland now on Georgia 400, some ice now beginning to stick some of the bushes there. Got a picture that we want to show you right now, this in from the Gainesville area, and we're getting a lot of reports. This one from Missy Wiggins in the Gainesville area, but we're getting a lot of reports in Hall County, Gainesville area, also in Oakwood, of that ice beginning to take shape and also not only attach itself to places like this, those elevated surfaces, but also now in some of these streets. So we just want to make you aware that's one of those areas of great concern. Want to show you the latest on the radar right now and show you what's happening across the board. And you can see that area in pink. That is the area of concern where we're seeing that mixing occurring. At times, some ice, some sleet, some freezing rain, and some of the accumulation on some of the elevated streets, and elevated areas like bushes, also into rails and people's homes. Getting a lot of pictures on decks, people's decks and chairs, and we appreciate those pictures. You report at CBS46.com. Also, we're seeing some heavier stuff beginning to fall now in Rabun County, even some snow in some of the higher elevations there, and in Sky Valley getting some reports as well of that beginning to move in. But the ice is the main concern that we're going to be dealing with over the course of the next several hours until we can lift that. But once again, that ice is beginning to accumulate in places like Hall County and also back into Fannin County, getting reports, and now beginning to move a little bit closer to the metro area with spotty reports now near the Alpharetta area. We're monitoring very closely with the National Weather Service and also on Facebook, and we'll have more on this icy situation coming up in just a few minutes. Stephanie.
And track the system on the go with the CBS 46 mobile app. If you go to our website, CBS46.com, click on that gray cell phone there. It's the last icon under Connect with CBS 46. to download the app.
And our CBS 46 cameras all around the metro area right now. I want to give you a live look first from downtown Atlanta.
Wow.
Believe me, there is a skyline in there. You obviously cannot see it from all of those low hanging clouds right there. The rain already falling as well. And next, we'll be dealing with falling temperatures tonight. That could mean some icy roads around the metro area, of course. Businesses in downtown Ellijay closed early to allow employees to get home before the roads started to ice over. They saw the effects before noon with an icy rain. More than 1,500 people are without power as well. Crews are working to get it restored there.
Yeah, I go out and I check my generator and make sure I have enough diesel to keep it running for several days. Make sure I've got enough groceries in the house because the stores will be closed also if that's the case.
She's already ready. Gilmer County has opened up the Civic Center there to use as a shelter tonight. In East Atlanta, people were bundled up in this chilly stuff. It is definitely heavy coat conditions, and you'll want to keep those coats handy. It's supposed to be even colder throughout the rest of this week. And so far, so good on Georgia roads. Let's give you a look here at I-20 at Moreland Avenue late this afternoon. Traffic was moving right along without any problems. But again, all this could change overnight. Temperature drop may mean iced over roads for your morning commute.
Governor Deal declared a state of emergency for counties that are north of Metro Atlanta. He made a special announcement about the winter weather just about an hour ago. CBS 46's Adam Murphy joins us from downtown here at 5 with how state leaders are going to be responding to the weather this go round.
Well, Stephanie, one of the first things the governor said is we are fortunate that we didn't have a repeat of last year. This time around, he said they're not taking any chances. And in fact, he talked about how they've erred on the side of caution. Now, he said they began looking at this storm with GEMA and GDOT, probably 72 hours prior to its arrival so that they were prepared. He also talked about how the Georgia Department of Transportation put down over 400,000 gallons of brine during the last 2 days, and they will continue to work throughout the evening to address any trouble spots that may pop up on the roads throughout the morning commute.
The danger, of course, is with moisture on our roadways and the temperature dropping is the fear of black ice. And that is the most significant threat that we see into the early morning hours and into the early part of tomorrow.
And when I asked the governor what was different this year compared to last year, he said, well, they got an earlier start, a quicker jump on this storm, and they've been preparing and taking it very seriously, as he said they did last year, although the quicker start made all the difference this time around. Now, he did point out concerns with black ice that government offices here in the Atlanta area will begin. They will report to work tomorrow at 10 a.m. and it will be 11 a.m. for government employees that are north of the Metro Atlanta area that might actually see some more of that black ice. We'll have more from the governor as we continue to follow this storm and report it for you right here on CBS 46. We're live outside the Capitol. Adam Murphy, CBS 46 News.
Adam, thank you. And emergency management teams are certainly keeping a close eye on all of this. CBS 46's Christopher King is live at the GEMA Command Center in Southeast Atlanta. And Christopher, you know this. GEMA took a lot of heat last year for that slow response to that winter fiasco. All those kids who were stuck on buses, what are they doing differently this winter?
Communicating a lot. This is the operations desk. This is where they direct the people who are keeping an eye on the conditions on the road. And this is what they're watching. It's called a situational awareness map. They're watching things like brine trucks and salt trucks, all this to make sure that your kids, school buses, and other traffic do not get stuck on the road.
It's something that never should have happened. Students all over Metro Atlanta stranded on school buses during last year's winter weather disaster. We asked Jim Butterworth, the new chief of the Georgia Emergency Management Agency, what is he doing to make sure that doesn't happen again?
What are we not doing?
Last year, the state reacted slowly and critics say communicated poorly. Businesses and schools let out around the same time as icy roads backed up with traffic. This year, Butterworth says things are different.
We're being proactive and we're communicating. We've had regular communication with the superintendents, with the local emergency management directors, with the sheriffs, county commissioners, you name it, we're communicating with them.
Butterworth says GEMA crews are closely watching conditions around Metro Atlanta and North Georgia here at its command center. And he tells us GEMA has created strike teams that include the State Patrol, GDOT, and the National Guard, ready to respond.
And these strike teams would have the resource to respond immediately. They have the authority to clear that path and then make sure that it doesn't become a cascading event for the rest of the metro area.
He says GEMA also is keeping the public up to date through news reports and social media.
Through the television media, but also Facebook, Twitter, everything else. We're definitely communicating a great deal.
Here's another live look at GEMA crews hard at work. We haven't gotten a big blast from the winter storm. Now, we asked GEMA, are they overreacting? The GEMA chief says no, they are reacting appropriately. We'll tell you more about what he has to say coming up at 6. We're live in GEMA headquarters. Christopher King, CBS 46 News.
We will see you at 6, Christopher. Our storm mode coverage continues now with how Metro Atlanta is working to make sure our roads are safe. CBS 46's Adam Harding joins us at Atlanta's Department of Public Works in Atlanta. And Adam, the concern that we've been talking about is black ice.
For tomorrow's commute, Stephanie, these tanks right behind me, this was all full of brine. That's some brine right here on the ground. They've been treating the roadways for about 24 hours now, but the focus here at the DPW will now shift to the sand. They will load up all of the trucks later on tonight, hit the roadways, and work to reduce any black ice that may form overnight. So here we go. The start of the storm. Welcome to the rain.
Even rain here is bad.
Metro Atlanta spared from the wintry mix, but the city not in the clear, not even a little bit.
We sort of wait for moments like this.
Department of Transportation officials say the rain Monday will likely lead to black ice Tuesday, and drivers need to be ready.
There's going to be a heightened concern for black ice, and so we'll have crews running the interstates throughout the night and into the morning rush hour to look and treat that black ice.
Here locally, Atlanta's DPW is gearing up for a long night, working hard to get ahead of the storm, treating local roadways.
Given the current conditions, first most vulnerable areas are going to be your overpasses and bridges.
We have to have the streets ready so that things can move.
City leaders working to warn commuters now. Pack your patience Tuesday. Driving could be tough.
Only come out if you have to. Stay at home because it's unpredictable.
And this weather certainly is unpredictable. These right behind us here at the DPW, quiet right now, but at around midnight, I'm told they'll hit the road. Almost 30 in Atlanta alone. Of course, this just one of the metro cities working to get ahead of this storm. If you see any black ice tomorrow, you're urged to contact authorities immediately. We're live in Atlanta. Adam Harding, CBS 46 News.
Our storm mode coverage continues, and it's just getting started here at 5 o'clock.
New video today from Hall County, already seeing some ice. We are live there as people prepare for a mess.
We've been talking about it. It's meant to keep us safe on an icy road. It's called brine. It's good for the roads, not so good for our cars. See for yourself coming up.
Nasty roads for the evening commute. Stay off the roads if you can. Our CBS 46 Weather Lab is live on the highway to give you a first-hand look coming up. Welcome back, everyone. That 5 o'clock whistle sounded exactly 13 minutes ago, but you know a lot of companies out there have let their employees go already. A lot of people trying to get home, and look at those brake lights here. Let's give you a live look. 85 southbound at the MARTA overpass. Again, a lot of brake lights on the other side of 85 there. That looks, it's pretty good. There's at least a decent amount of space between all those cars. Look at this commute here at the bottom of your screen. Yeah, this one's a good one. We're saying it's 11 minutes and in the green, averaging 60, a little over 60 miles per hour, taking you from 85 southbound from the connector to Jonesboro Road.
Our storm mode team coverage continues now. We want to give you a first-hand look at the roads. If you have to be out on the highway, now is probably better than later, and most definitely better than in the morning. Frank Wiley joins us from our CBS 46 Weather Lab. And Frank, I'm using your smile as a barometer of how the roads are doing.
That's a good sign, right? Okay, so it is, I can tell you guys, it's a speed limit drive up around 75 in Cherokee County. We were just near Allatoona, and you guys, you were using the smile as a barometer. I want to let you know this. The rain, as you take a look out the front window, that's a problem, but you see the flashing lights out there as well? I was going to point that accident out to you. That's to my left. That is 75 northbound. So we point out the black ice, and for good reason, as the temperatures start to drop, that's an issue, but also the overly ambitious drivers, people who think it's not really a big deal and they speed it up, and then sometimes that's what happens. People find themselves in some form of an accident. That's the case, and now as you can see to our left here, which is 75 north, and well, that traffic starting to back up. Nothing to smile about in that regard. Taking you back out to the front windshield wiper there. You can see those wipers in full effect, but the bigger picture right there to the left, all that traffic starting to back up simply because of one accident. It was a single vehicle accident that took place along 75 north. But for now, we are live on 75 south. Frank Wiley, CBS 46 News.
All right, Frank, be safe. The Northeast takes another beating, just what they don't need.
I know, and take a look here. Just another sign that the country is nowhere close to springtime.
And there are no signs of spring here in Hall County. We are starting to see ice form in a lot of places. We will show you the conditions north of Atlanta coming right up.
And staying warm is the name of the game for the next few days. I'll show you what power crews are doing to make sure it happens.
Live look at downtown Atlanta. Well,
wow.
We think.
Wow.
Will all that rain out there and our temperatures turn our roads to black ice? Our storm mode team coverage continues next.